will say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right. Thank you. All right. We thank each and every one of you individually and all of you together collectively for the co-creation of this interaction this day of your time. Each and every time you offer us an opportunity to interact with you, we get to experience yet that many more ways that creation has of expressing itself. We would like to begin this transmission, as we have titled it, Amplifying First Contact, with suggestions for what you can do to help accelerate, magnify, and amplify the probability of open contact between your civilization and other extraterrestrial civilizations such as our own. This requires action on your part. And if you are excited and passionate about allowing the contact that you are experiencing with us right now to transform into something more physical, so that we may together become something more than either of us individually can become, then by all means allow yourselves to begin to communicate with different organizations on your planet, with different governments on your world, to let them know that you know we exist, that you know many of us are here, and that you are asking, requesting the idea of disclosing the information that many of your governments already know about our existence in whatever manner is appropriate for your world, but that they do allow themselves to speak openly to some degree of the fact that most people on your planet know that there are extraterrestrial beings that have been with you for generations, thousands of years, that this is not really a secret, even though many people on your planet would like to keep it that way, for fear, for many negative reasons. But you, in your exploration of spirituality, in your exploration of the expansion of your consciousness, in the willingness to become more of who you truly are starting to sense that there is more than just your bodies, more than just your physical minds, and that as you stretch your senses out, you begin to perceive that there are also other consciousnesses all around you in different dimensions who are aware of you and are open to the idea of making contact more solidly, more firmly, if you would only drop all of the assumptions, drop all of the barriers that you create with your belief systems, with any fear-based definitions, and open up to the idea of the existence of other beings more fully, then you will begin with your senses to perceive things that were previously invisible to you, because this is part of the evolution of your species, that you can begin to perceive things you did not know were around you all the time, coming and going. There is a lot of activity right here, right now, all the time, that goes unnoticed by you because your senses are operating on a frequency level that is too low to perceive these things in general. But as you open up, as you follow your passion, as you become more of yourselves, as you expand your idea of what you are as beings, you accelerate the ability of others to communicate with you, because as you become more capable of perceiving them, they will then recognize that you are recognizing them, and they will respond, all of these different beings. and they will interact with you. As you drop the veils between your reality and other realities, as you allow your mind to stretch and overlap and begin to perceive more and more of the other realities that are all right here, overlapping one another, your world will become very different. Space and time will become very flexible, very malleable, and you will be able to experience things that border on the idea of what you typically call magic. For synchronicity will expand, synchronicity will increase, and you will be able to experience exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. This will go hand in hand with more communication from beings on other levels to allow you to know that you are always being given the help that you need. You are always being given the guidance that you ask for, because it's not about asking for more than you're already being given. You are already being given all the help and all the guidance that we can possibly give. So when you ask for a sign, when you ask for assistance, when you ask for help, all you're really doing is asking to open up your own senses to be able to perceive more clearly the help that you're already receiving, because no more help can be given because you're being given everything that we can give. So it's on your side, your end, to be able to perceive the help you're already being given more clearly. Then you will know that you have always been supported, you have always been assisted, you have never been alone. And that will accelerate the idea of living in a reality where you are truly interacting not only intergalactically, but also interspiritually. You'll begin to break down those barriers between the idea of physical and non-physical reality, and you'll begin to know that you never really lose anyone when they die, that death is just a transition into a different state, and that family is always family, and that you will be able to communicate with them much more clearly in much the same way that you communicate with each other in physical reality. As you continue to expand your senses by acting on your highest passion in life, your world will become very, very different, and you will be able to shift your experience of reality through various versions of different parallel Earths that already exist, allowing yourself to guide yourself, to steer yourself through those different versions, shifting through those different versions, more and more and more, becoming and living and experiencing versions of Earth that are already existing and already more reflective and more representative of the world that you prefer, because they will simply be a reflection of the changes you have made within yourself, within your own energy. You never change the world that you're on. You shift to another version of Earth that is already more representative of the change you have made within yourselves. So by allowing yourselves to know that it is a reality that we exist, that it is a reality that you are surrounded by beings from different dimensions, then you will begin in those actions that you take with that knowledge to bring, in a sense, heaven down to earth, to embody that energy, that state of being within yourself that knows that such things are real, that knows that you are a part of a larger community, that knows you are connected to everything you need to be connected to, and in acting from that state of being in everything that you do in life, bit by bit, at whatever rate is comfortable for you, at whatever pace is relevant for you, you will begin to perceive, as we said, more and more and more and more of the things that are around you right now that may be invisible to you at this moment. So do not be surprised, do not be shocked, do not be scared by the different things you will begin to perceive as your senses become more receptive and more sensitive to looking at different frequencies, different vibrations that are representative of other beings and other levels of reality. Do you understand what we are saying to you? All right. Does that sound exciting to you? I believe you. This is the way to amplify contact in your world. You take the actions that are relevant and representative of a state of being that knows, not believes, not thinks, not guesses, but knows that there are other beings with you, that knows that you are connected to the universe, that knows itself fully as an expression of creation. And from those actions and inspirations that come to you in that state of being, will you then accelerate and amplify contact on all levels, not only outward to the stars, but inwardly into all the levels of your own consciousness. And you will see in the reflections of your outer reality more and more of the things that are representative of that state of being, of that certainty, of that knowingness. We thank you for allowing us to transmit this idea to you this day of your time, and we remind you that this transmission is not just the words that you may be hearing. There is energy being given to you right now, frequencies, vibrations of light and electromagnetic energy that are inviting you, encouraging you to match those frequencies, to help uplift you, raise your vibration, and allow you, in doing so, to experience more of the reality in the way that we do, because we know that you can, and we know that part of you already exists on that level, that higher level. All you need to do is relax into that, and you will be carried on the currents of creation to a higher level, a higher plane, as part of your evolution. If you just do nothing but let go and be yourself, those currents will carry you exactly where, how, and when you need to be carried to find and discover more of yourself, and to let go of those things that you now know have nothing at all to do with who you prefer to be. Does that make sense? Yes. All right. Does that sound exciting? Yes. All right. We believe you. In exchange for the gift that you are giving us in allowing us to interact with you in this way, I ask you...
Concept of masterminding, which I don't know if it has been addressed with you directly, but it's something that I've spent quite a bit of time focusing on.
Define.
Yes. So masterminding, in my definition, is two or more people coming together, physical beings typically,
yes,
coming together with a specific enough focus so that they amplify this focus with interacting with each other and tuning to the higher, whatever you want to call it. So tuning.
All right.
So
we would refer to that simply as synchronicity, because that's what automatically happens in synchronicity. The people that need to be with each other automatically find each other on whatever vibrational level they need to exist for each other, reflecting to each other whatever they need to reflect to magnify and amplify their opportunity to discover more and more of who they are for whatever kind of focus that needs to actually have. But that happens all automatically by giving over and surrendering to synchronicity.
Absolutely, that happens automatically. Oh, I've found it very powerful to participate and facilitate groups where the intention is set by me.
Yes.
And then the people that resonate join, and there's already this commonality that's been created because it's been called together.
It doesn't really matter what technique you use.
Okay.
If it works for you, then it works for you. All these things are permission slips. You understand permission slips?
Yes.
Every tool, every technique, every ritual, every object is a permission slip.
And I appreciate you describing that there is no right permission slip, because it just opens up the world from these esoteric...
There is a right permission slip for you at that moment. If that's what works for you, that's what's right. Tomorrow, it may not be right.
Right. So then what I'm experiencing now is this greater level of, again, the word surrender, because
Yes.
permission slips in my life tend to change very, very quickly.
All right.
It requires a high level of awareness.
Yes.
And I'm pregnant.
Oh, all right. Congratulations.
Thank you. I've already had twins, and I
Yes.
had an amazing birth. And now I'm in this process again with one baby, and it just what I call places me on my knees. It's a greater level of surrender than I've ever imagined or thought I wanted, maybe. And it's
Oh,
beautiful.
wait until the child is born.
Yeah, well, I know how that goes. So I'm curious about why pregnancy has this energy, if there is something particularly useful or important about this process.
Because remember that the child at this moment is not a child. You are enveloped by a larger being. You are in agreement with a larger being that knows exactly who you are. And thus, by surrendering to that process, you are allowing that being to tell you the true story of you. That's what pregnancy is. You are allowing that story to grow within you, to become a participant in a new story, a new perspective of you that the greater being who will become your child is actually telling you through this process about who you actually are, what your agreements are that you have made with each other. And by allowing that to come to term, you will then be living in that story if you have been paying attention to what you are being told during the pregnancy.
Yeah,
If you surrender to the wisdom of that being.
that's beautiful.
Yes, it is.
So this is more of a curiosity. Why is it that in our society, at this time anyway, only women are pregnant and bearing children?
Why is it that way?
Yeah. Why not both genders?
Because it gave you an opportunity to experience certain things about polarity that go hand in hand with the Earth story. Whereas there are other stories in other civilizations where there are other kinds of genders and where others may experience the idea of birth in different ways. But this is the Earth story, and it has to do a lot with the idea of polarizing yourselves so strongly that it requires true commitment to balance yourselves and find the balance within each of you. Do you understand?
Yes, that holds a great deal of meaning for me.
Now, there is more to it than that, which we will go into at a later time. But for now, that's the simple answer.
So now I want to tie the two questions together.
Yes.
So this beautiful experience that I feel like I'm embracing at a deeper and deeper sense of being enveloped, like you said,
Yes.
with a being and a new story.
Yes.
How else can I have it in my life? And one way that I found is masterminding, but what other permission slips or ways that we could have in our lives where we experience?
Well, as we have said, as far as we know from our own experience, there is only one necessary formula. Acting at every moment on the thing that contains more excitement than anything else, to the best of your ability, taking it as far as you can until you can take it no further, with absolutely zero insistence or assumption as to what the outcome ought to be. Period. By following that formula, you open up the complete kit of excitement, which is the driving engine of your life, the organizing principle through synchronicity in your life, the path of least resistance, the path that connects to all other expressions of your excitement. It's the thing that supports you in any way you need to be supported. It is the reflective mirror that reveals to you anything within your consciousness that may be out of alignment with the excitement so that you can identify it and let it go and add that energy to your excitement. And it absolutely leaves nothing relevant out. So when you act on the three-part formula, then the kit is activated and everything works automatically. And as far as we are concerned, from that point forward, whatever situation or circumstance comes up, you have the opportunity to identify it either in a positive or a negative way. And therefore, it's all about, from that point forward, paying attention to your definitions and creating definitions that work for you instead of buying into definitions that don't. That's it. A to Z. That's all you need.
So what else are we doing here?
Good question.
Do you have anything else for me?
If I did, I would tell you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Greetings, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I was going to ask you if you could give me a tip on identifying negative beliefs. I seem to be having a...
All right, well, that's easily done. If you are having or are aware of the fact that you have a negative belief, then identifying it simply is the process of acknowledging it and actually amplifying it and asking the question, what am I absolutely terrified might happen if I actually became who I prefer to be? What's the answer?
What am I terrified of?
Yes, what are you afraid will happen if you allow yourself to move forward in the way that you would prefer to?
Well, see, that's why I don't understand. That's why I seem to be confused, because I know all the stuff.
No, you don't, obviously.
Well, I know that it's...
You have an intellectual comprehension of it, but to know something means it's in your behavior.
Right.
Knowledge and behavior are synonymous. If I asked you to walk across the room, you wouldn't hesitate. You would just walk because you know how to do that. That's in your behavior. That's what you know you are capable of. If it's not in your behavior, you don't know it. You just have an intellectual comprehension of it.
Okay, so how can I instill that?
Let's go back to the idea. I'll ask the question in a different way. Are you acting on your highest excitement every moment that you possibly can with zero insistence on a particular outcome? Yes or no?
Yes, except for when I'm not.
All right. You don't have to be clever about it, because obviously we wouldn't be having this conversation if the answer was yes all the time, correct?
Right, well, that's what I'm saying.
Therefore, when I asked you if you were doing that, you could say not all the time.
Right.
And that's what we're addressing. Yes?
Yes.
So can you give us an example of a time when you're not?
When I'm not acting on my highest joy, when I'm fighting with somebody or...
Why are you
having
fighting?
Problems. That's the whole thing, is I don't even know. It seems
come on.
It seems like I create problems.
Yes.
And then later I can't even figure out why.
What are you afraid of will happen? What are you afraid will happen? The moment that you start fighting, you're afraid of something. You're afraid you won't get something that you need.
Maybe losing somebody? Losing
Losing something? All right. Is that the fear?
Yeah, I think so, maybe.
All right. So why are you afraid you will lose something?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. Of course you do. What will happen if in your mind something is lost? And can you be more specific about what it is you're afraid of losing?
Well, I was just thinking of having a fight with my girlfriend
All
over
right.
the craziest, stupidest stuff.
Yes, but you understand that the reason it's, in your words, the craziest, stupidest stuff is because you're still focused on the surface. And you get triggered by simple things because there's a deeper issue, there's a deeper fear.
Right.
Many times when people on your planet fight, they're not actually fighting about the things they're fighting about. Those are just surface excuses to let people know that there is something deeper going on within you that you're afraid to look at. But when you are not afraid to look at it and bring it to the surface, then you can deal with the real issue. So what's the real issue? What are you really afraid of? When suddenly you feel that you're triggered and that your response has to be that you're fighting, what are you really deeply afraid will happen?
Honestly, I don't know. That's why I'm coming to you, hoping you can get it out of me.
You do. All right. Well, we'll pull harder if you want us to.
Yeah. I mean, I'm here for, I want, real solutions. I'm not just beating around.
I understand. But it's not so much that you want solutions. What you need are processes.
Okay.
And again, the idea is you need honest self-investigation, first and foremost. You have to be willing to dig down deep and not be afraid to be afraid. That's the first step. It has to be okay that you're afraid. You can't gloss it over. You can't be in denial about it. You may have a negative belief system that actually generates extremely deep fear within you. And you have to dig down and find out what this is. You can't be afraid to be afraid. You can't be afraid to find it. But I will tell you a little secret.
Okay.
When people find that they have this so-called deep fear and they say, well, I just don't know what it is, it's generally because they have a belief, probably an unconscious belief, that if they actually did dig down and find out what it is, they're afraid that they might discover that it's actually true.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
That you'll discover something truly negative about yourself that is absolutely the truth. That you are either unworthy, undeserving, inconsequential. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And it is usually those issues that people on your planet avoid looking at because they are afraid that if they look at that, they will realize it is true. The secret is it can never be true. Ever. You can create the illusion and the experience that it's true, but it can never be true that you are unworthy. It can never be true that you are undeserving of joy. It can never, ever, ever be true that you don't belong. Never. It can never be true that you have nothing to give. It can never be true. Because if it was true, you wouldn't exist. Because creation doesn't make mistakes. Do you follow me so far?
Yes.
So, what's the difference? Let me ask the question this way. Maybe this will provide a little bit of illumination for you. You say there are times when you feel that you are capable of acting on your excitement and none of the fears are triggered. Yes?
Yes.
So the question is, what difference are you making between the times when that is true and the times that it's not? What difference are you making in the different circumstances? How are you defining this circumstance as so different from this one that you can experience joy here but fear here? What's your definitional difference in those circumstances? That's the question to ask yourself when you feel that, when you start to feel triggered. How am I defining this circumstance as being different than the one where I experience joy and I'm not reacting negatively to it? How am I seeing these things differently? That's what you need to explore. That's the process you need to go through to find out what your definition is that's generating the fear and generating the anger and triggering you to fight.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Now, you don't have to answer that right here and right now if you don't wish to, but you can. It's up to you.
Well, I think that maybe was the challenge, or what I was looking at as being a problem was not seeing it that way. I didn't actually ever look at it as the difference between when I was acting on my joy and when I wasn't, and looking at the difference. I was always just trying to figure out what negative belief do I have that is tripping me up.
But this is a way to find out what the negative belief is by making a comparative difference. Because obviously, if you are experiencing your joy, you have a very different definition about your relationship to that circumstance than you have about your relationship to this circumstance. Yes?
Yes.
So if you can find out what the difference in your definition is, you will find the negative belief.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Bashar.
Anything
Appreciate
else?
it. No, I think that's it.
All right, so go ahead and have fun. But the idea also is listen to how you speak. I'm not saying you have to walk on eggshells with your language, but very often you will find that your negative definitions will actually automatically come out in your speech.